Okay, so I'm Half Little Fox, and today I kind of want to talk to you guys about what I consider to be one of the biggest problems in the extraction looter shooter games, or really just the extraction genre as a whole. I consider myself a connoisseur of sorts when it comes to the extraction genre, as I've spent thousands of hours of my life playing these extraction games like Vigor, Marauders, The Cycle, rest in peace, Hunt Showdown, DMZ, Dark and Darker, Tarkov, Star Siege Dead Zone. I mean, I could go on, but you guys get the point. And also, you know, if you like that kind of content, you should like and subscribe, because I'm finally getting settled into my new place and I am finally ready to go back to making really bad content. But yeah, like I've said, I have played an entire ass full of extraction games. And as I've played them over the years, I've kind of noticed something. Like, they absolutely hate looters. Even if it's a game that classifies itself as an extraction looter shooter, they have no actual system in place to give people a real reason to loot besides just killing. Which that is obviously more geared to all the shooters out there. But let me explain. I'm going to use a few games off the list I said earlier as an example, but let's just take like DMZ, The Cycle, rest in peace, and Marauders up first. What is the actual point of looting in those games when it comes down to it? And don't get me wrong, I can already hear some of y'all in the comments like, well, to complete challenges and objectives and stuff. And I get that. I know those kind of things are in place. Like gather X amount of blank to get blank. Yeah, I get that. I'm with you. But why are you doing those challenges? 95% of the time, it's so that you can get more armor or weapons or perks or whatever you want to call it. But what do those things lead to? Killing. Ham smacking kill streaks. That kind of shit. It always leads back to killing or PvP in some way. Which again, don't get me wrong, if you've seen my content before, like and subscribe, you'd know that it was just a bunch of goofy ass PvP moments that we've had in the games I've already talked about. I love that shit, but each and every one of these games are stuck in this endless loop that just leads back to killing. And in doing so, they end up alienating literally half of the demographic that they were trying to market for. I've made a video that touched on this before about Marauders, which by the way is a great game. If you have a PC and you haven't found it out on Steam, give it a shot, because it's really great gameplay wise, but it has no why. Like, why are we looting all of this stuff? Just to get more guns and ammo? Maybe a cosmetic here or there, or a little box in a menu that gets a little check mark? That's cool and all, and it has its own merit, and there are many different flavors of that. But unless you've got a really solid gameplay loop, it's gonna get old quickly, because it gets obvious that these games just don't have a really robust looting system in place. Marauders, The Cycle, rest in peace, Dark and Darker, rest in peace, Star Siege Dead Zone, all of these games fall short in delivering what a real extraction looter shooter could be. And I can't even believe I'm gonna say this, but so far, the best attempt at a satisfying game for both looters and shooters that I've found is Vigor. And I absolutely hate that, because they completely fumbled the bag about not updating it for 15 seasons so far, but I digress. The reason I say this is because if you haven't played Vigor, it has what's known as a shelter. And that shelter serves as your in-game lobby for finding matches, that kind of thing. But it also serves as a long-term objective for the materials that you grab out in the encounters or raids. Now, this really isn't a new idea nowadays, as many of the games I've already talked about have some type of a system like that in place, but none of them are as depthy or as well fleshed out, and it all again just leads back to killing. So this shelter in Vigor is something that I've always applauded, because it gives you a different reason to be out there looting and trying to get back safely. You can actually watch your shelter improve more and more with the materials that you loot, until you find yourself loading into a game not to like a rusty shack anymore, but to a nicely laid out house where you can kind of feel a sense of accomplishment. Because like I said, it's a long-term looting goal that you can achieve without ever shooting a bullet. You have a choice. You can run around being a sweaty fella that is killing everything that you lay your eyes on, or you can take the stealthy pacifist route. But whichever path that you choose, you can still achieve the same goal: building your shelter. Now, I'm not going to be sitting here just praising Vigor, because nobody hates and loves that game more than I do, but no other game has really done what Vigor has. The Cycle, rest in peace, and Tarkov also have some like respectable systems in place like that, but I've never gotten the same satisfaction from them. I actually had a talk on stream with my buddy Adonius about it, and I'll play that for y'all real quick. But I would love to see a game that was like Escape from Tarkov and Animal Crossing had a baby. Y'all. So I had the thought about it, right? And my perfect game would be an extraction looter shooter that crosses Animal Crossing.
That note, I'm gonna get out of here.
No. Hear me out.
Okay, yeah, I'm listening.
So
Animal Crossing.
Exactly the same. Like, think about it in shelter terms, right? So imagine if you just showed up and this was all completely bare. All of it was completely bare. It was just ground. It was like obviously some terrain, some trees, that kind of shit, right? But instead of just having to put the loot in towards this one singular shelter, you'd be putting in resources towards assets. And those assets are what you can place to make your shelter customizable.
Okay,
you can build whatever the you want. Think of it like a Minecraft, or like a Rust building system, like a whatever the fuck.
Ghoulie says like a slight arc.
Exactly. But you have a bare, fresh shelter area. You're able to invite your friends. You can build whatever you want. If you wanted to turn your shelter area into your own little mini map that you and your friends can fight on, you can do that.
I was gonna say, so basically, it's like extraction looter shooter with the detailed base building is what you want.
Yes, but exactly like the shelter system where, you know, if this is our lobby and I still want to be able to go out into the raids and have the fights and get the resources and what the fuck ever. But when I come back to my shelter, I want it to be fully customizable. And that was an idea for Vigor, because like you remember the customized screen, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then literally the next update just took that menu away. And again, could you imagine if people had the chance to customize their shelter area the way that they wanted to?
Oh yeah, I totally get that. Like Ghoulie's saying, he says DayZ/Rust, both with extraction like Tarkov and Vigor. So yeah, like DayZ and Vigor put together, I think that would be fantastic.
And I'm honestly so surprised that nobody has thought of that yet.
The key word in that sentence, I believe, is going to be yet, sir.
Yet, and that's what kind of makes me excited. The second a fucking game, and especially an extraction looter shooter, tackles the problem of having no looting system, I'm going to be there so fucking fast.
Oh, I get you.
I mean, could you imagine the possibilities? The extraction genre of games has definitely become one of my favorites over the years, but I really hope that a game comes along that truly unites the idea of being a looter and a shooter. And I feel like the second that somebody really nails it, it's going to be a huge milestone for the genre, as it'll bring like a real sense of progression. You know, one that isn't just tied to who can be the sweatiest. I mean, it's like this, like Vigor has a shelter, but how cool would it be if we could have built our own ship in Marauders or The Cycle, rest in peace, where we could like customize it and invite our friends over to show off trophies or whatever. You know, like maybe build towards a headquarters in DMZ, or possibly customize your own bayou in Hunt Showdown. I know I'm kind of just daydreaming at this point, but I really wanted to air out these thoughts and share them with you in hopes of starting a discussion. So like, what do you think? Am I just a big dingus, or am I actually onto something here? Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and come hang out with me on Twitch. Foxy out.